Hi, and welcome to Learn Davinci Resolve. Today I'm going to do something that I didn't think I'd ever do, but some people have asked for it, and that's I'm going to do a edit from beginning to end. I'm going to add a couple little effects here and there and just kind of run through, hopefully as quickly as I can so this doesn't take like hours long. We're going to do a quick edit. So I've launched Davinci Resolve 15. I'm going to come down to new project. I'm going to give it a name, and this is just going to be, I'm going to call it live learning, just for lack of a better word here. That's going to open up. I'm going to go down to my project settings, just make sure I'm on, I'm going to do 1920 1080 at 23976, and my playback frame rate's 23976, so I'm good there. I'm going to go to my import, and I'm going to browse over to the footage that I'm going to use and come in here and drag that into my media pool. It says the clips have a different frame rate than the current project settings. Well, yeah, I want to change that from whatever it is to 23976. I don't want to get off that. But what was this? Let's take a look. I'm going to click on one, go up to my inspector, and it was at 29970. So this is actually Mavic 2 Pro footage, which is 4K 30. So this is going to allow me to slow it down just a little bit if I want to, but I can go as fast as I want. So we're going to probably do some speed transitions in there. This is D-Log M, 10-bit footage, H.265, so the highest settings I could do on the Mavic 2 Pro. So once I have it in my edit tab or my media tab, next tab is going to be edit. So I'm going to go over there and double click on the first one so it brings it up in the source viewer, and I'll just go ahead and play that so we can see what we have. And I'm going to hit I to do an in point, and it starts to pan over there, so I really don't want too much of that. I want just a kind of a close-up, right, close-in shot there, and I'm going to drag that to my timeline. And now I'm just going to kind of run through these as quick as I can here. So there's a nice long shot. And just to keep things interesting for the viewer, I don't want shots that, or individual clips in my sequence that are really more than about 4 or 5 seconds long at the most. I try and keep them to 3 to 4 seconds so that I have a lot of cuts and I can go to the beat of whatever music I'm going to do and make it as interesting as possible. So I'll scrub through this a little bit here. There's a little lift shot. Now, when I'm playing back, sometimes I'm hitting the L key to speed it up. And if I do it multiple times, it will go faster and faster. And it just kind of allows me a live way of looking at the footage to pop it in and just get different shots that I'm looking for. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and scrub, go my in point, grab an out point, drag it on to the timeline, and go to the next piece of footage here. Let's kind of see what we've got here. So we got the shot along this ridge. So often, I've started it and then started my movement. Well, I definitely don't want that beginning. So I want already in motion, and whoops. We'll scrub through this. That looks like it's going to be a nice shot. Bring that into the timeline. Now you can see here, these segments are, this one's 42:24 to 59. So that's a 15-second run. So I'm obviously going to cut that down significantly once I get into the editing, more into the editing process. Right now, I'm just doing what I call a rough cut. So I'm just getting my favorite pieces that I'm going to use for my sequence. Let's see what we have here. Oh, this was a nice pan shot. across the ridge line. I'm going to grab that. And then I did a pan lift shot starting right here. Oops. I'm going to hit my in point and kind of going up at an angle with it there. Get that out of the way, drop that in. And okay, here's kind of a nice shot here. So definitely a really long piece there, but you know, maybe we'll cut it up. Maybe we'll cut to the beats of some music and jump cut. Maybe we'll do some speeding up on it, some speed ramping. So right now, I don't really know what all I'm going to do, but I need to get kind of the rough pieces in place. So that's going to be a good shot. And then I know I got really tight up on the top here. So I'm going to start it up there and cruised right over the top. I don't like how I did that turn right there. So I'm definitely going to stop it right there and drop that into place. And that's going to kind of end it right there. I mean, I have 2 minutes and 11 seconds of footage, but I know I'm not going to use that much because like I said, this is going to be a quick edit. Now we need to get some music. So I'm going to go to my browser here. bensound.com has some really good music that you can use for free. You just need to give them credit. And let's try a couple of these. Okay, I kind of like that one. I mean, it's 2 minutes and 27 seconds long, so it's going to be much longer than the clip is going to be, but that's okay because we can fade it out and make it work. So it's downloaded here, and I'm just going to go right from my browser and drag it onto my timeline there. Pretty simple. Let me zoom out here. So you can see it's going to be longer than the amount of footage I have, especially once I start cutting this footage up. So we'll play around with that. Now, if you're not seeing something like this on your screen with these waveforms, which makes it really easy to cut to the beats of the music, let's go to this icon right here. And I want to clip view options. I can change the clip view to different things. I kind of like this one. The other one shows the thumbnail at the beginning and the end, or no thumbnails. That is kind of whichever you like. I can have tabbed timelines, so I can have multiple timelines. Subtitle tracks, so I don't have subtitles, so I don't need that on. And I can have the audio tracks on or off. So I want to make sure that those are on. And then you can adjust the height of them if you really want to see more detail on those thumbnails, or if you want to see more detail in the audio, you can adjust that. So that's how we make sure that we're seeing this type of a look here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the beginning, and let's kind of play into this. Okay, so we have this nice build up here, and I think we're going to fade this in right there. So I'm going to grab this handle from the left, bring that over to where that music kicks in, and let's see that. Okay, and let's add a title, right? So let's go over, make sure that our effects library is turned on. We're going to go to titles, and I'm just going to drop a text title on top of here, and I want it to end with that clip. So I can click on it, go up to my inspector, and this is going to be Roxborough, Colorado. And I'll change this to a different font. And let's scroll down, see some of these options here. So I can add a drop shadow to it. You see how it pulls out there and goes up or down. So I want it just down just a hair. And I think that'll look nice. And just like fading in, I'm going to fade this out. So as the music kicks in, I'm going to start fading the title out. Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, but we're not really on any beat right there, so I want to fix that. Let's hear this. Okay, hear that big beat right there. So I'm going to hit the T for the trimmed, or the trim edit mode, so I can just pull that out a little bit, and that way it can stop right on that beat. Let's try this again. Okay, but what I don't like here is that did this little kind of a turn right there at the end. So in my trim tool, I can grab in the middle of it and shift that over a little bit. That way it's going to line up a little bit differently. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've got now. Okay, we're making some progress here, but I don't want to just continue through this whole section here. So I'm going to make a cut here. So I used the razor blade tool and just did a cut right there on that beat. And let's continue. Let's see where we're going to go with this. All right, so there's another right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed this up, and I'm going to make sure I'm in trim tab or trim edit mode. I'm going to hit Command R or Alt R to go into speed mode here, and I'm going to drag this over and make that piece faster. So now let's take a look. Okay, so there's another beat there, but this was way too close. So I'm going to just use my trim tab, grabbing the left side and drag that over. So we have kind of a different scene there. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see because it's getting really choppy with speed ramps and things on my particular system. So let's do a little optimization here. I'm going to go to render cache, and I'm going to set it on user. Now I'm going to take the clips that I'm working on, and I'm going to go to clip, render cache color output. And I'm going to do it on the next one here and say clip, render cache color output. Now what that's going to do is it's going to render those into optimized footage that will play back a lot smoother. Now, sometimes, depending on your footage and the speed of your computer, this may take a little while, but this isn't going to be too bad here. So let's play it. There we go. And there was another beat. So I can see right where that was. And I'll drag that one over. Remember, I'm in the trim edit, so as I pull these over, it moves everything with it. If I was just on the arrow and I did that, it's going to leave a gap there. So that's really not what I want. I want to just keep pulling things in. Now, if I have a gap and I need to get rid of it, I can click in that gap and hit delete, and it will ripple everything back over. So nice, simple way of doing that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and select this one and say render cache color output. Now that that's rendered, this piece will play back nice. Okay, so I'm going to let that one be a little bit longer just because it's kind of a dramatic shot. And we want to find where that beat is. Now, one way is to watch my meters, and I can see where a big hit is, but I know it's going to be right there. That's where I heard it. And I'm going to hit B for my blade tool and T to go back into trim mode. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to hit Shift and delete to get rid of it and slide everything over. So another little trick there. And let's just kind of zoom out a little bit so we can see what we're working with here. And I'm going to select that one and go to render cache color output. Now I could have, before I started editing all this, I could have selected all of them. I'll do that over here and say generate optimized media. And that would have done all of this kind of beforehand. It can take a while, but then it can be a lot easier to work with your footage. Here, some of the footage I can work with because they're short little pieces. Sometimes I want to do that, just render that one piece, so it just makes it easier to work with. And this is going to finish up here in just a second. Now I'm also going to, let's go to the end here. And you can see now I started almost near the end, but I'm really moving this back as I'm cutting these clips down and making them shorter. And I knew I was going to do that. That's what I told you. So let's now see what this footage looks like. Okay, so there was a beat here. I really like this shot. I want to keep the whole thing, but I'm just going to speed the entire thing up. So I'm going to right click on it and drag that over. And let's see what that does. But let's let it render so it can play back at a nice speed. Now, if you're on a faster machine, you may not even need to do this. Right now, I'm just doing this on my 2016 MacBook Pro. If I went over to my 5K iMac, I have no need to do this. It'll play back this stuff really nice. So now let's check this out. Okay, that was a very nice and clean cut there. And there's another beat there. So looking at my audio scope there, I can see that one. And this one I'm just going to pull in and edit. And then this was a nice long pan shot. So I like that beat right there. Let's go back and find it. So zooming in makes it easy to see where those spikes are in the music. And I'm going to speed this one up. It's not going to be nearly as dramatic because instead of this other one where it was 400%, this is only 147%. So it's going to be a little, it's going to be faster than it was normally, but it's not going to be that bad, in terms of being super fast. Okay, I think that's a good spot right there. Let's find that. All right, again, I'm just going to cut that right there, hit T, select it, Shift, delete, and that pulls that in. Okay, and that beat right there. And select that one. T, select, get rid of it, and okay. Now I see where this music is going, and since I'm starting to run out of footage here, see, I only got a couple clips left. I think as this music takes a dive over here, that's where we're going to finish this this video up. So I'm going to select that, get rid of it. Now I've got kind of a spot to work with here. And I think I'm going to pull this in. Again, I'm using T for the trim tool on the left side. And I'm going to pull this all the way over onto that beat right there. Might have been a little much. So I think right there is the spot. Now I've got this final piece of footage here, and I want to get it going right over the top of that hill. And let's see how far out we are. I'm going to drag this in to the end. And as we fade this music out, okay, it's kind of a hard stop there. So I'm going to help it a little bit by adding a little fade right there. And I'm going to fade the video out. So let's see what we've got. Okay, not too shabby. So now we have a full edit done, right? We've got a title, we've got our clips, we've got it cut to the music, but you know, this footage looks really washed out. It's not very colorful. Again, I shot this in D-Log-M, so it's got to be color graded. So we're going to skip the next tab, which is the Fusion tab. We're not going to do any compositing or special effects. We're going to go right to the color tab. So now I'm in my color tab. I'm going to go to my first scene here and get it to where we've got some footage up. And I'm going to use the DJI D-Log-M to Rec 709 LUT. This is available from the DJI website, right on the Mavic 2 page. If you've got a Mavic 2, they have it for some of the other ones. If you want some good ones, there's some free ones out there from Ground Control. They've got a handful of free LUTs that you can use. You don't need to use a LUT. You can color this all manually. But as I hover over that LUT in my LUT browser here, look at the image. So we go from basically what almost looks like a black and white to having some nice color in the sky. So I'm just going to double click on that. And now we've got some good color there. And looking at my scopes, I don't have anything being clipped on my highlights. I don't have anything being clipped on my shadows. This is looking pretty good. I am going to go over to my color wheel sub tab over here to saturation, and I'm going to pull my saturation up just a little bit just to make the colors pop a little bit more. Now I'm going to hit Option S to bring up a new serial node. And because I'm using Mavic 2 D-Log footage, it has some lens distortion to it. So I'm going to go to my Open Effects, go find my, go to, where is it? It's under, not Revival, Sharpen, Stylize, I think it's under Distort or Transform. Nope, Warp, Lens Distortion. Under Resolve Effects Warp, Lens Distortion. I'm going to pull that lens distortion over here, and that all of a sudden doesn't look very good because I have to put in some numbers here. So I'm going to go 0.18, and there we go. Now it is corrected. So if I turn this off, you can kind of see with and without the distortion correction. All right, I'm going to go to my next piece of footage here, and because this shot is very, very similar to the last one, and I can use the exact same color grading on it, I'm going to hit the equals key, which is copy the color grade from the previous clip. So equals, done, beautiful. Go to the next one, equals, beautiful. Next one, equals, beautiful. Next one, equals. Looking really good here. Okay, now this is a totally different shot here, and we probably want to see a little bit more dynamic range. And if we look at our scopes, we have our highlights are very low, and our shadows aren't as low as they could be. So I'm going to lower my shadows a little bit, and I'm going to raise up my highlights there. And I'm going to go back to my LUTs tab. Now I'm going to add the LUT and add some saturation to it. Again, I'm going to add a node, go to my Open Effects, my lens distortion, 0.18, and here we have it. So next shot, very similar to the last one. So I'm going to add that. Let's check our scopes, look at our highlights. They're really starting to clip there. So I'm going to go on my gain and pull that down just a hair. And on my shadows, I'm going to pull that down a little bit more so we have a little bit more color to it. Go to our next one, equals. That's looking pretty good. A little too much on the shadows. Again, just pull them up. There we go. Go to the next one. We want that one identical because it's the same shot. Go to the next one. Oh, that's looking really good, except we don't have a lot of lighting here in the middle. So I'm going to take my gamma, which is kind of my midtones, and bring that up. I don't want to lose all the blue in the sky, so I'm going to pull my gain down. Everything else is looking good. I'm going to go to my next shot, hit equals. Oh, that's beautiful. But again, let's look at our scopes. Our shadows are very high. I can bring those shadows all the way down to 0, and we're going to get more contrast and a little more pop to that scene there. That's looking beautiful. Go to the next one, hit equals. Go to the next one. Again, same shot, so I'm just going to hit equals. Now we have pretty much a finished color graded shot. It's looking good. All right, we're going to skip Fairlight. We're not doing anything crazy with audio, so I'm not going to worry about that. Now I'm going to go to the deliver page. Now I'm going to put this up on YouTube, so I'm going to show you my YouTube settings. You can just go to YouTube, 1080, throw it out there. I actually don't want this. I want this to be 4K. Now remember, I was editing everything in a 1080p timeline. So I can go back over here now, and just if I want to check everything, I'm going to go to 3:840 by 2160, and doesn't really affect anything because that's what I shot at. That was the native resolution. Since I let it change the frame rate at the beginning to 29.97, that's what my output's going to be. I can't slow that down now. I can't change it. I'm going to make sure I'm on QuickTime. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to use QuickTime. You can use whatever's appropriate for your system, but I like QuickTime format, ProRes. There's a couple other options out there. What you really want to make sure that you're on is H.264. So if you're trying to go higher resolution, I could go to ProRes and select a version of ProRes. I don't need to do that for YouTube. It's just overkill. So I want to make sure that I'm on H.264. My resolution is my 4K. My frame rate is all set. Quality, I leave it on automatic. I think it does a great job. Encoding profile, automatic. Passes, single. This footage doesn't need multiple passes or anything to go to YouTube. Keyframes are automatic. Frame rendering is turned on. I don't touch anything in the advanced or subtitle settings. I'm going to give it a name, and this is Roxborough, and hit add to render queue. That's going to ask me where do I want to save it. I'm just going to put it on my desktop, hit save, and now to begin the render process, I hit start render. So now it's going to run through it, saving it out to disk. Now we can see here in the render box, the render status, it has 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. I also have a status down here, so if I had multiple jobs, it would tell me where that's at. So I'm going to speed this up here so we don't have to sit here for 3 minutes watching this render. Okay, it says completed. It's all finished. So I'm going to minimize Resolve here. And here it is on the desktop. And I will go ahead and play this for you. I hope you enjoyed this from a complete start to finish edit. Sure, I could have spent more time and made things probably a little nicer and cleaner and better cuts and everything, but I really wanted to show a complete beginning to end workflow process to help you get started with using Resolve. I've showed a lot of individual pieces, but I've never shown a complete run through of an edit. So I hope this was enjoyable. If so, smash down on that like button, hit subscribe, click on that bell icon to be notified whenever I put out a new video, which there's always a new video on Monday, usually on Fridays with something like Fairlight or Fusion, and often there are hardware reviews that are filmmaking related. So thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate all of you tuning in and supporting the channel, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.